Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's third and final video. We're going to have a look at the weather the next 10 to 14 days for today's third video. So day 10 is going to take us to around the 9th of October. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that. We extend GFS and ECM ensembles, maybe around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, which takes us in towards the final stages of October. I'll get on that for you in a moment. Just say that the first video release was our 7 AM forecast. And also we have released USA forecast as well as on Wednesday. Have a look at the weather in America in detail. If you're enjoying videos on the channel at the moment, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. Hope you're having a lovely Wednesday afternoon or evening, whenever you are watching the video. Right, so we'll begin with Tropical Atlantic. We cover this in the USA forecast, but I appreciate not everybody watches that. So just bring you up to what's going on. We've got a yellow disturbance area just here. That one is disturbance 3 with a 10% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 and 5 days. We've got an orange X down here, which is disturbance 2. That's got a 50% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 or 5 days. We've got a red X, which is disturbance 1. Got a 90% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 and 5 days. That's very likely to become a tropical storm and or hurricane in the coming days. And then we've got Major Hurricane Sam just here, giving maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour with a minimum set pressure of 950 millibars. Clicking on Sam, we can see that this is forecast to go more or less due north. So at the moment, the position is there, going to move in that direction. Could give a glancing blow to Bermuda, and then it sort of curves out into the North Atlantic and starts to weaken, of course, as it pushes into the cooler waters of the Northern Atlantic Ocean. Looking at the discussion, we can see that Sam is predicted to power up again in the next few hours to maximum sustained winds of 140 miles per hour. That's Category 4 hurricane. Going to sustain that for the next day and a half, and then will gradually, only very gradually though, start to weaken through towards the weekend and the early part of next week, going back down to a Category 3 and then ultimately a Category 2 hurricane. Yeah, so a very, very significant system. Doesn't look like it's going to impact anywhere other than maybe giving a glancing blow to Bermuda. It doesn't look like it's going to get to the east coast of America, this storm. But it is a major, significant hurricane in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and will be a big ace booster, of course. Accumulated cyclone energy. Right, okay, this is how centering temperatures. We're coming back home, so the CT is gradually coming down very slowly. Now standing at 16.6, anomaly of 2.9 degrees above average. That's provisional to yesterday, 28th of September. It'll come down further today because it's really quite cool out there today. Real sort of chill in the air. And it'll probably reduce again a little bit more tomorrow. I think I'm going to finish up with this somewhere around 16 degrees. That's around the projection. These were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. Looking at London today, so red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off a little bit below average at the moment. The upper air temperature will drop further as we go in towards the end of the week. So, yeah, it's a proper cool air mass we're in at the moment. Heading into the weekend, the upper air temperature get a bit of a boost as we bring in an area of low pressure, but that will fuel a lot of heavy rain on Saturday. And then after that, looking generally quite cool, ready for the rest of the weekend and dwell on into next week. Into the last week, into the second week of October, I should say, we find that the upper air temperatures are lifting up a bit, but there's a lot of scatter in there, probably no more than average. I think the GFS ensembles have backed off the idea of it becoming particularly warm through the second week of October. So, yes, this is a little bit of a boost around there, in particular 8th to 10th of October. But overall, not too far from average. A lot of precipitation to come over the next week or so. Yes, going to be quite a wet period coming up in the next week from 28th of September, more or less, around the 6th or 7th of October. Maybe a bit of a drying trend then into the second week of October, but remember, there are still some precipitation spikes coming through. So it looks a lot cooler and wetter compared to anything that we had through most of September. Temperature anomalies on the 29th of September, 7th of October, going to be a bit cooler than average. So, yes, definite cool down has taken place, of course. Precipitation anomalies on the 29th of September to 7th of October. Overall average too for western and northern areas a little bit wetter than average. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that, of course, the westerlies are in. There's lots of activity in the Atlantic as well, various areas of low pressure, and on these westerly winds, these areas of low pressure will be coming our way. Okay, let's start going through some chart data then. So we'll start off with UK Met at the weather outlook. This is how things looking with the UK Met as we get into the end of the week. Low pressure north of Scotland, bringing in quite a cool, showery westerly wind. I mean, a deepening area of low pressure moves in on Saturday. This one just here, that will bring quite a bit of wet and windy weather on Saturday and for England and Wales, and that pushes north of Scotland on Sunday. Then into next week, we're into a showery westerly again with more low pressure, never all that far away. Got another low, it looks like running in across the south there by the middle of next week. That's midnight Wednesday next week. Further wet weather pushing in across the south. So very unsettled in the next week with the UK Met today. As far as we get to with UK Met, let's have a look at GFS midnight run. Again, this is Saturday. Low pressure to the northwest of Scotland, bringing showery westerly winds. There's a deepening, developing area of low pressure to the south and west of Ireland. That whips itself up through the course of Saturday, bringing heavy rain and potentially gale force winds to western parts of the country. That pushes north of Scotland as we get through Saturday night into Sunday. Could be some gales to the north. There'll be a lot of heavy rain with that area of low pressure as well. It's very, very autumnal, doesn't it? We go through to the early part of next week, and again, low pressure is dominating the weather, so cool, showery conditions through the early part of the week. Second half of the week, we might start to build up some higher pressure over France. That's in response to ex-Hurricane Sam and another ex-hurricane or tropical storm, some sort of development system just there. So that pushes a lot of warmth into the North Atlantic and might start to build up this ridge over and to the south and east of the country. That ridge strengthens as we go up to day 10 on the GFS midnight run. So for Scotland and Northern Ireland, it is still quite unsettled actually, still relatively cool and showery. For England and Wales, it's turning a little bit drier. Not necessarily all that much warmer under this area of high pressure. It will depend, you know, on the sort of air mass that we're bringing in from off the continent. But certainly you start to build up some higher pressure anyway as we get to day 8, 9, 10 on the GFS midnight run. But it doesn't last long. Low pressure soon comes back in a couple of days beyond that, and it turns cooler and more unsettled once again with more rain coming in from the North Atlantic. And then just unsettled really right way up to the end of the GFS midnight run, gets us to the 15th of October today with further showers, if not longer spells of rain. Looks like it's going to be quite a wet first half to October, I think. 6Z looks like this is very latest GFS run, of course. Again, there's that developing area of low pressure moving in to the southwest on Saturday morning. That develops into a very significant area of low pressure running up the western side of the country through Saturday itself. That take lots of heavy rain across the country and strong gale force winds as well. Through into the second half of the weekend, just some quite wet and windy low pressure centre across the north of Scotland. Gale force winds sweeping in on the southern side of this area of low pressure, particularly through north parts of England and Northern Ireland. And there'll be showers along to spells of rain as well. It's going to be a very autumnal weekend. Into next week, cool, showery conditions through the early part of the week. Then we try to raise the heights from France, get to the middle of next week. Again, we've got the remnants of 2 tropical storms and or hurricanes. I think that's the remains of Sam. This is another one just here, possibly that red disturbance area that we looked at a few minutes ago. Now they sort of combine to bring up what looks like quite a warm southwesterly wind, but this is more unsettled as well. There's almost shades of Ophelia about this. Remember in 2017 when we had the remains of Hurricane Ophelia, and you know, the skies turned that bizarre sort of Martian red colour. It was very warm, but it was also quite wet as well, especially for the west. There was gales. It's almost shades of that, but maybe not quite to the same extent. But this low does develop into a very significant system to the west of Scotland at the end of next week. This is Friday, 8th of October. Severe gale force winds battering Scotland Northern Ireland from the remains of that ex-tropical storm and or hurricane. So it does turn a lot warmer for a couple of days late next week, but much more unsettled with this GFS run. We don't build the pressure as much to our south and east. Eventually that all pushes through and we just go into like a cool unsettled spell really through the second week of October. Try to get some ridges going, but they're struggling really. Although as we get to the very end of GFS 6, which is to be 15th of October, the Azores High is trying to ridge up from the southwest. So that's quite an interesting one for the second half of next week, with the remains of those tropical storms and or hurricanes quite close to us. Right, the GEM looks like this. If you enjoyed the video, then please can you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. GEM looks like that. So again, we've got showery conditions as we're going into the early part of next week. Actually, the GM has not updated yesterday's GM, hasn't it? So I think we better get out of that pretty quickly. That's Tuesday. That's from Tuesday, 28th of September. So I think we better get out of that quite quickly, and it will shut that down. Should we go to the weather outlook and see if they've got the updated GFS? I've not got it at GM, I should say. I've not got it at Weather Essentials, but have a look at the weather outlook and see. Yeah, they've got it. So we can have a look at the GM via the weather outlook. Let's do that, shall we? And again, so this is how we look as we get through to the weekend. We've got this developing area of low pressure just here. That's going to bring wet and windy weather over the weekend. Going to be a properly autumnal weekend. Gale force winds and heavy rain sweeping across the country through Saturday and into Sunday as well. So that looks really, really unsettled, doesn't it, over weekend? Into next week, cool and showery with these westerly, northwesterly winds and trough low pressure moving through during the early part of the week. Going into second half next week, high pressure trying to ridge up from the southwest. Is it going to be able to successfully? This is ridging high pressure up into second half next week. So for England and Wales, staying drier, probably a little bit warmer. Scotland, Northern Ireland, still looking a little bit cool and showery as we get to day 10. So the GM is trying to get us back to high pressure for the middle and second half of next week. And then this is the ECM WF, and it looks like this. So once more, we're facing very unsettled weekend with a deep autumnal area of low pressure, bringing heavy rain and gale force winds across much of the country. Into the early part of next week, again looking quite unsettled with further showers, if not longer spells of rain pushing through. Stays unsettled with the ECM right way into the second half of next week, actually. And that's how it looks as we get to day 10, which is going to be the 9th of October. Just still looking very unsettled, bringing low pressure from off the Atlantic. Not much of a ridge from the Azores High with that one. So next week is uncertain, and it is possible that it might stay unsettled throughout the whole of next week. We might not build up that area of high pressure from the Azores, and even if we do, I have a feeling it will probably be quite temporary, just a couple of days, and then the Atlantic will break it down again. This is the Precipitation Forecast based on that ECM run from Spreadshow.com. So we've got wet weather pushing through tonight and tomorrow across many parts of the country. That will clear away into Friday, leaving sunshine and showers to the north and west. And then, of course, here comes that really nasty area of low pressure over the weekend that will bring lots of heavy rain and the risk of gale force winds as well. Even with snow turning over that over the Scottish mountains. Could be severe gales across northern eastern parts of Scotland, by the way. Gusts of wind perhaps up to 80 miles per hour during Sunday in the northeast of Scotland. Into the part of next week, showery and next area of rain, next area of wet weather push across England and Wales for the early part of next week. Further rain coming and going, so this really is looking very unsettled with the ECM day all the way up to day 10. We've got another band of rain just heading into west of Scotland and also to Ireland. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. Will get us to the 9th of October. 18 members of the ECM ensembles have low pressure to our north and high pressure to the south. They're bringing in a westerly wind. They're trying something a bit drier down in the south, but still generally quite unsettled with that. 9 have much stronger ridge of high pressure just to our east, so obviously that's going to be a drier option. Not necessarily all that warm, bringing the air in off the continent. But definitely turning things drier. I've got 8 with high pressure just to our west and ridging north with a trough over Scandinavia. That probably pulls in quite a cool northerly wind. Another 8 with high pressure ridging up from the Azores. That's turning drier and warmer. Would be in line, you know, I suppose with like the GFS midnight run. And then we've got another 8 just here, including the control and the operational run, that are very unsettled, low pressure in off the Atlantic and into northern Europe. That's the most unsettled option. It does appear, though, that the operational ECM run probably not all that well supported by its ensembles today. And many of those ensemble members do have more influence from high pressure So we're going to wait and see, I think, what happens in the second half of next week. It all hinges on the remains of these hurricanes, how they interact with projection, which is always a difficult thing for models to work out. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 14th of October. 30 members of the ECM ensembles have low pressure to our north, high pressure to our south. We're bringing in like a westerly wind with that, so probably quite unsettled, especially for more northern areas. And then 21 have much stronger influence from high pressure. So even at 2 weeks out, there's the possibility we might be under high pressure, but also the possibility we might be under low pressure. This could turn out to be quite an unsettled first half to October. CFS V2, lastly, so these are 500 millibar heights breaking down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 29th of September to the 5th of October. Coming week, of course, is unsettled with low pressure right over top of the country, so plenty of rain and wind to come. Week 2 will be the 6th to the 12th of October with high pressure ridging up from the southwest. That's going to start to turn things a little bit drier and probably pull up some slightly warmer air from the southwest as well. Week 3 then takes a high pressure north. This is the 13th to the 19th of October, northern blocking. Then with high pressure between Greenland and Scandinavia. Low pressure is to the south of that. So we're probably bringing what would be a relatively cool easterly wind actually. And the low pressure south could start to bring some rain into southern parts of the country. And then week 4 looks like this. It's the 20th, 26th of October. High pressure then is centred over Greenland. Trough of low pressure in over Scandinavia and also across the UK and Ireland and France. It looks like it's turning colder there into the last week of October. Turning colder and unsettled. And early snowfalls probably across Scandinavia, for example. We will be turning colder, probably not kind of for snow, but away from Scottish mountains anyway, but certainly turning colder and more unsettled into the last week of October there. So quite an interesting update from the ECM today. CFS, I should say. Right, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the special like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think. Don't forget to your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids and get them to subscribe too. Got to put on around another 40 subscribers, that's all, to get to 12.2k, 12,200 subscribers. So that's our next mini target. Of course, the ultimate target at the moment is 13,000 subscribers. Please give us a sub and you'll be able to see future weather content if you do that. Right, so we're done with today's video, so please like if you enjoyed them and whatnot. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a lovely rest of your Wednesday. Tomorrow, we've got the 7 AM forecast, European Outlook coming up tomorrow as well. As always, a 10 to 14 dayer with all of the regular features too. You enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and for today's videos, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.